So let's move on to the Fitzgerald and the Moon build blocking model. So we talked about standards. So with standards, we are talking about standards of performance. Standards of performance. Very, very key, standards of performance. What are the expectations surrounding standards of performance, basically? What are the expectations surrounding standards of performance? So some questions that would be asked are around, to what extent do individuals feel they own the standards that would be used to assess performance? Another question that would be asked will be around fairness. Are standards fair for all managers in all business units of the entity? So by standards, we mean expectations of performance. Expectations of performance. The last building block is reward. The last building block is reward. If there's a standard, it means that if you meet the standard, you should get a reward. So individuals are basically rewarded for successful achievements or successful accomplishments. Successful achievements or successful accomplishments. So if employees are successful at ensuring that performance targets are met, then you should reward them in order to motivate them. So that they're able to do a lot more, work harder. Then let's talk about managing strategic change. This is the last lab. Then we talk about a few issues, and then we move on. One of the forces or models used to manage strategic change is what we call the Lewins, not Lewin, the actor. This is Lewin's force field analysis. Lewin's force field analysis. So Lewin was a psychologist, and he developed this theory. Basically, he says that, organizations are in the current state and are constantly being pressed with driving forces as well as restraining forces. The driving forces support the need for change. The restraining forces oppose or resist the need for change. Change will never ever occur if the forces resisting the change or the restraining forces are stronger than the driving forces. Change is only possible when the driving forces are stronger than the restraining forces. Key. Very, very key. Very, very important. So how do you manage change according to Lewin? According to Lewin. This is an interesting model. You can either strengthen the driving forces for change, or you can reduce the restraining forces against change. Two ways of managing change. So number one, strengthen the driving forces for change. It might seem here that the best answer is to strengthen the driving forces for change. It might seem that when you strengthen the driving forces, you are going to get change. But Lewin, who was a psychologist, argued that when you increase the driving forces, there's a risk, and the risk is that the restraining forces against the change will also become stronger. The restraining force will become so strong that you might not be able to achieve your goal. So what do? You can reduce the restraining forces. So the best approach is to reduce the restraining forces. So how do management do it? How would management do it? Management would do it very simple. First, you need to identify those restraining forces and consider ways of reducing their strength. How do you reduce their strength? By trying to win their support. Trying to win their support. So by winning support, you are reducing their strength. Through conversations, through discussions, through meetings with them, you are reducing the strength of restraining forces. Lewin also was generous enough to give us another model also around change. So if you have a question on change, you should be thinking Lewin. Your mind should go there straight to Lewin. To go straight to Lewin. So Lewin, he says there's a process for change. First is unfreeze. You change and then you refreeze. Unfreeze, you change and then you refreeze. So what does it mean to unfreeze? To unfreeze means to persuade, to get employees on your side that change is necessary. Just like the way you take a cold, chilled bottle, frozen bottle of Coke, you let it settle down. You are in this unfreezing process, you are winning employees to your side. So employees should be encouraged to recognize what is wrong about the current state, and then they can be unfrozen out of that current state. Because when they're in that current state, it means that they are stuck in it and they are frozen. That's where it's coming from. So you have to unfreeze them. Now, after you unfreeze them, you can make the change. But to make the change, like we already discussed, there must be support for the change. You must have a driving forces, and you must reduce the restraining forces. So you should have done your work very well. If you do your work very well around unfreezing, then change becomes an easier or simpler process. Then you do what we call refreezing. Why refreezing? Because there is a tendency for employees to go back, to go back to their current states. So you must constantly train them, You must constantly train them. Otherwise, you might go back to their old states. You should encourage them to carry on with the new way of doing things, because people generally don't like change. So you must constantly do this refreezing process until people become comfortable with the new way of doing things. Now let's move on to the McKinsey 7S model. The McKinsey 7S model. McKinsey, as I've most of the time suggested or said, is a consulting firm, the biggest consulting firm in the world. McKinsey. Fortunately, they don't have a branch in Ghana, but they have one in Nigeria. So McKinsey proposed a 7S model. A 7S model. A 7S model. And it's basically saying that there are seven factors that contribute to the effectiveness of an organization. That contribute to the effectiveness of an organization. So he divided it into hard factors and soft factors. Hard factors and soft factors. So strategy, structure, and systems are hard factors. Those are called hard factors. And why are they hard factors? Because they are easy to define. They are easy to define. What do I mean by easy to define? So for instance, strategy, you can easily find strategy in a strategic document, right? Or in a strategic plan. You can find systems in a procedure manual. You can find structure in an organizational chart. In an organizational chart. So what is strategy? Strategy we've talked about is the long-term view of an organization. It's a long-term view of an organization. A long-term plan, of an organization. We've explained strategy at the beginning of our class, so I wouldn't go much into that. Structure is like what we've talked about. It's basically how organization is set up with respect to the division of responsibilities and allocation of authority. Then you have systems, maybe basically the procedures in the organizations, how the procedures run. So hard factors are easy to define. Then you talked about soft factors. Soft factors. These are ones that are difficult to define. I know that. Number one is staff. Number two is skills. Number three is styles. Number four is shared values. Yeah. And by staff, it's more the intrinsic things in the employee, the employee. So for example, things like motivation, loyalty, those are soft factors. Those are soft factors. It's hard to define that. It's hard to define that. Then you have skills. He talked about skills as well. What the employees do well and what do they do badly. Then style. Style refers to the cultural characteristics of the entity, the people who work in it, basically the culture that is created. Then the last soft factor is the shared values in the organization. So the shared values are basically the beliefs and the values of the people and why it exists and why individuals want to work in it. So that's basically what we have for today. So I don't know if you have any questions. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Then I have a few things I need to talk about. Then we call it a day. So if you have any questions, this is the time. Any questions, please? Any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Hello, I'm listening.
Yes, please. The techno structure, I didn't really get it.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So let's go back to techno structure. Okay. You want to ask another question
another
too?
One.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And what again?
The metrics. I didn't get the difference between that and the cost organization.
And the what?
The cost structure.
Can you type your question because your line is bad? Or can you repeat your question?
Okay. I was asking.
I can't hear you I can't hear you at all, actually. Hello? Hello, could you repeat your question, please? Hello? Hello? She's still there. Are you still there, please? You can type your question so that I answer it for you. Okay, so just before hopefully she can ask a question. I don't know if she's still on though. But does anyone have any other question? Any other question? Any other question, please? Any other question, please? Hey, what's happening? Okay. The person was trying to ask the question, are you on, or if you are not on, then you can, I don't know, but maybe you can message me privately. I would explain it to you. But does anyone have any questions? If you don't, then let me move on to what I was trying to say. So, so going forward, I think Andrew's suggestion is a good suggestion. So as much as I can, I'll try and infuse, what do you call it? Examples of cases into the slides to make it a lot more practical. But here's the deal. The deal is that I'll send you the case we are going to talk about, so you have a read around it before the class. So that it's not during the class, because we only have 2 hours. It's not during the class that we are coming to read and analyze. Is Evelyn still there? So I don't know what Evelyn means by, what do you mean by course structure? Because I didn't mention course structure. I didn't mention course structure. So I'm not.
He was talking about the Techno Structure. But if I heard her.
Okay, so because she messaged me privately to say what's the difference between matrix structure and course structure. Okay, so I'll explain Techno Structure, because I heard her saying Techno Structure, but I don't know if she can even hear. Is she even here? Let me see. Okay. No, she's not here. So if anyone knows her number, whatever, I'll just message her on the group. So, but here's the deal with the cases. When I send the cases on the group during the week, you would have to do a read on it, because cases are long. And I don't want it to take a lot of our time, so that when we start the class, we hit the ground running and we're able to discuss a lot faster, because it's a the cases are long, so I don't want us to be reading during the class. It can literally take our entire time. So you read before the class. You have some of your points in place. When we come, then we discuss. I hope you all agree to that.
Yes, sir. We do.
Okay. Okay. So if no one has any question, then
who how many meetings may we need to cover this strategic thing aside the financial issues like the strategic is proper? It's like you're doing.
Like, you mean the theory?
Yes, the theory.
The theory depends.
So far, this is our fourth meeting.
Is this our fourth or fifth?
Fifth meeting, sorry. The
Yeah, fifth. Yeah, this is our fifth meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So we need you know, we'll need, if you are doing theory, and because right now we are infusing questions with the theory, it kind of like extends it. But I'm looking at like doing it to, like, having sessions till the time you write your exam, basically. But the theory can be finished within, let's say, like, maybe we need another, I'm not too sure, depending on how it goes, maybe we need another 4 or so sessions.
6 sessions.
Sorry?
Did you say 6 sessions?
No, another 4.
4 sections.
4 or 5 sessions. That's, yeah. I'm not too sure about the number,
And,
because
I'm only asking this because you said the cases we need multidisciplinary theories to handle them. So what that might not be enough. So I was thinking if we could do and finish up on time, then we can move into solving the question. But
oh yeah. Oh, as for finishing in time, there we are even on time.
Okay.
Yeah, on time, so that one is not a problem. And I'm even trying to add solving questions and all those things, because I really want everyone to pass, because apart from the fact that there would be maybe a pre-seen material that you would use,
exactly.
Yeah, you also need to get some questions. I mean, literally, most lecturers will just, they will not maybe solve questions. They'll just wait for the pre-seen material and then just analyze it with you. But I think you need to familiarize yourself with how it works.
Exactly.
So that's why I want to infuse it. Yeah, that's why I want to infuse it, so that it's not new to you. Once you've gone through the process, when the pre-seen material comes, you even know how to. And it makes my work easier when it gets there.
Yes,
that's why I want to. I think infusing is a good idea. Yeah.
Yes. We thank you so much.
Oh, welcome. All I want is you guys to pass them. It makes me happy. So, if no one has a question, we'll call it a day. But I'll try and message Evelyn. She's not here, and explaining to her will be better. So have a good day. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me. No one has messaged me yet, so I think you guys are good to go. But if you have any questions, just message me. So have a good weekend.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, bye.
You too, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.